welcome to another episode of See Ya in the Kitchen. Thanks everybody for watching. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and we really appreciate any kind of comments you can or things you want to see in the future. Tomorrow we're going to go back to our heritage, I believe. In the next video we'll do, as we like to call it, marinara, gravy, depending where you're from Sicily, and we'll do it grandma style. That'll be probably next episode. For today though, we have one of the most, I think, iconic dishes for the sous vide, for me at least, is the tri-tip. On the East Coast, you don't see this too often. West Coast, it's a staple. It's great for, we're going to have a little happy hour. We're going to do some little sliders with the tri-tip. It's also great for tailgates. So we're going to show another video how to do that in your cooler, so you can bring it and have it nice and warm, ready to go at a tailgate. Good thing to drink with these, obviously. A good beer, Pliny the Elder is one of my favorites. We're got Rush River today. Great with a tri-tip. So with a tri-tip, it comes pretty clean if you get it from Costco. Costco has great meats. I'm not going to argue. We do want to trim just a little bit, but not a whole lot. With the sous vide, we don't need the extra fat. It's going to be super tender anyways. A good sharp knife goes a long ways with these. We're going to keep it super simple. Whenever you got a good piece of meat, you know, a lot of people like to marinate tri-tips. But if you cook them correctly and season them well, you don't really need to go crazy. We're going to do a decent amount of salt. It is a thick piece of meat. We're going to do a little garlic powder. A little steak seasoning, which is the kind of our pepper element. My wife's not crazy about pepper, so we back off that a little bit. And a little garlic salt. We'll do both sides. The salt is kind of just the all-empowering seasoning. It brings out pretty much life into anything. And then we're going to put a little olive oil on it. Kind of rub it in a little bit. And I still go with my old rule of, people always ask me, you know, what temperature, what time. Big rule of thumb with temperature is basically your type of meat. We'll get into that. But the rule of thumb is always how thick it is. So this is 2 to 3 inches thick, so it's going to be 2 to 3 hours. And the temperature depends on how you want it done. And I found to be the best crowd pleaser for everybody is about 138 degrees. Some people like to go lower, some people like to go a little higher. But for me, crowd-pleasing temperature tends to be the 138 range. So again, we put it in our Ziploc bag, nothing special. And we're going to use the water displacement method. And just to be extra careful, we're going to clip it to the side. So make sure, because you don't want any water to get in here. The meat never actually wants to touch the water. And we're going to come back in about 3 hours, and we're going to show you how to sear it up. We're going to make a sauce, and we're going to show you how to put it together for our sliders. All right, we're back again with the second part of the tri-tip, and we're going to do our butter soy sauce. It's a sauce we use to put on the tri-tip and the Hawaiian rolls, and my wife Stephanie is going to demonstrate that part.
All right, so what you need is 1 stick of butter, some soy sauce, And you will need a simple saucepan as well as something to stir it with. You'll want to turn your saucepan up to about medium heat, 5.5, depending on if you're cooking with gas or electric. You're going to put your stick of butter inside your saucepan and start to let it melt. Now the whole key here is you do not want to let the butter break. And by what we mean by that is you don't want to let it separate. So you're going to want to let it go slow, and if you have to, you can even reduce the temperature so you don't let it get too hot too quickly. So that's the whole thing, is to not let it get that hot temperature so that it is separating.
Alright, now we got the tri-tips. They've been cooking actually for 2.5 hours. That is the nice thing with sous vide. It's, as long as you keep cooking the minimum, you can go over 2-3 hours. It's not really going to make that much difference. If you go 24 hours too much, it might make a little difference. But at this point for tri-tips, they're very durable. So we're going to take it out and we're going to dry it off and sear it on the grill. So we're going to get it dry, then we're going to pat it with some butter so we can get those little grill marks on the grill. This is melted butter and a little bit of salt. Okay, now we're going to head out to the grill. Alright, now we're out at the grill. As hot as we can go. We're going to sear it up and get some flames going. We're going to go butter side down. And we're going to brush the other side so when we turn it over. Kind of like basting. Remember, it is already cooked, so we're just getting sear marks on it and giving it that Maillard effect. Keep basting. It is a large piece of meat, so we can sear this a little longer without overcooking it. This is a thinner piece of meat. You want to be careful. You want that thing as hot as you can and just hit it as hard as you can.
Way more than 12. I'd say 24 minimum. That's what I mean. I almost got in an accident looking at that.
Alright, so now that Joe's got the tri-tip on the barbecue, we are ready to finish off our sauce. And what we're making is a butter soy sauce, which gives the meat a nice little umami flavor. So like I mentioned before, we have melted a stick of butter on a lower temperature of heat. And now I'm going to add in some soy sauce. 2 capfuls of the soy sauce and put it into the butter here. Remember, you can always add to, but you can never take away. Sometimes people like it maybe a little bit more saltier, but again, you can never take it away. So you're going to stir that in. Again, keeping it on low heat because you do not want to break that butter. And then we will grab a spoon just to test it, but I've done this so many times that I can tell you right now it's going to be the right flavor for our family. Perfect. So now I'm ready to pour it into a server here, and it will be ready to go for our tri-tip sliders. See you when we're ready to serve.
And we're back off the grill now. We got our tri-tip. Always want to cut against the grain. The grain's going this way. So we're going to cut this way at a nice little bias. Want these relatively thin so we can make a sandwich with them. Get a plate. And we got our tri-tip slider. Thank you again. See you in the kitchen.